Hey everyone, it's Mike Valtos, and welcome to the Orderflows market analysis for Tuesday, August 22nd, 2017. And after we had a nice gain today. We had these last couple of weeks have been pretty interesting. We're getting these small little gains, doji candles each day, and then we get like a big sell-off on a Thursday. So it was nice to see a nice rise of about 1% in the Dow. But other than that, later this week we got Janet Yellen's speech, and we have some other economic data coming out at the end of the week. Oil ended up the day little change, 47.65 around there, but it did have some quite nice moves, and I'm gonna get a little bit in depth in crude oil today. I had a request to try and talk a little bit more about crude. Honestly, I focus more on the currencies, the S&Ps and the bonds. I don't know why that is. I think, probably being from Chicago, I used to work on the CME floor. I'm always been partial to the currencies. And, crude oil is a New York product. Maybe, I don't know, but, maybe that's why I sort of focus on the Chicago products a little bit more than crude. But honestly, though, today was a beautiful day for trading crude oil in terms of, if you watch Delta, if you watch the order flow. So, I'll try and talk, a bit about that today. So, before I get started, the disclaimer. This presentation is for educational and informational purposes only. It should not be considered a solicitation to buy or sell a futures contract or make any other type of investment decision. Futures trading contains substantial risk and is not for every investor. An investor could potentially lose all or more than the initial investment. Risk capital is money that could be lost without jeopardizing one's financial security or lifestyle. Only risk capital should be used for trading, and only those with sufficient risk capital should consider trading. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Again, if you can't afford to open an account, or if you're just barely scraping by, you might want to consider waiting until you get some more money. I know, people sometimes come up to me like they're in a race against time. Like, oh, I need to make X amount of money over the next 3 months, or I got to go find a job. Well, that's not the recipe for success in trading, right? It's not like, oh, I have to become successful in 3 months. No, you can. I mean, people do people sort of have this inherent trading trait gene in them that, once they start trading, it asserts itself. But, most people know it's going to take a little bit of time. You got to understand the market. Don't come in, don't believe the hype thinking that, you can make, $10,000 in 2 weeks trading. People do, but, it's rare. And people that make 10,000, they usually start with 50,000, and at the end of 2 weeks they're left with 10,000. But anyway, tools I use in this presentation are the Orderflows Trader and the Delta Scalper. Again, I'm trying to keep it real, right? Keep it realistic. I don't want to inflate your expectations beyond, be realistic, right? Be realistic. You're not going to become, CEO of Amazon in 2 months. You're not going to be like that. It takes time. You gotta work. With anything in life, right? It takes work, it takes effort. You got to put in the effort on your part. So that said, let's take a look. Let's start with crude then. If I can find my chart, give me a sec here. I need the footprint chart. Just really quick, just again, I'm going to talk about it with order flow, but again, this is the 8 range chart, bar chart, using the Delta Scalper. You can see it's got some, even though it's ended up today pretty much unchanged around 47.65, that area down in here. I mean, we had some nice movements from 47.40 all the way up to 48.15, back down, back up, back down, back up, back down. Delta Scalper's picking, almost, honestly, every turning point, but it's picking, the good ones. It's got this nice move here. It's got another nice move here, another nice move here. This one's okay. This one's okay. But there was some, like I said, there were some nice movements today, even though we ended up the day pretty much around unched. Okay, now just bear with me here. I don't know what the heck happened to my chart. That's probably the problem when I've got about 50 charts open. Sometimes they get buried. Crude oil. And here we go. Okay, so Let's go back here, make it so you can see it properly. Now, crude oil, right? Now, I'm a big fan of trading crude oil. You can trade it during the evening, I'll say the evening session, but during the early morning session, right? The European session, you can trade it. There's a lot of arb between Brent crude and WTI. And, actually there's in Asia and Europe, there's a lot of crude oil traders. Singapore is a hotbed for crude oil trading. A lot of people don't realize that, but, they trade not only crude, but they trade all the products. They trade, even, fuel oil, gas oil, everything out of Singapore. So, and 2 in the morning is just the afternoon in Singapore. So you get a lot of activity once the European counterparties start coming in as well. So you can see how the volume is here at 2 in the morning. You're trading decent size on these bars. Look at these volumes, 800, 600, 700. So it's legitimate. It's decent. It can be traded at that time. So these people say, well, I got a job. I want to learn trading, but what can I trade? Well, if you're in the US and you have a job, get up a few hours earlier, watch the crude oil markets, okay? So what do we got? Let's watch the delta here. Do anything interesting? Not really yet. Now, this was interesting here at this high. So boom, we hit this high here at 4 in the morning. 4 in the morning sort of corresponds with the old IPE Brent crude oil opening. So sometimes you're going to get, again, you got the Mideastern people trading, as well around these times. You see how the volume is picked up quite nicely, 1,000 at each level here. But you get this bar, right, on this high, okay? This bar was interesting here. You got a small delta of 20. At one point, it was quite strong negative. It was minus 500. It ended up positive 20. Then you get this bar here. There's no min delta. It's all max delta. It's all positive delta. But it was 597. It ended up at 159. That's a bearish sign, especially when you're at a high. Okay, because what it's telling you is there was buying early. There was buying, aggressive buying. You had almost close to 600 positive delta. The bar turned. You ended up with only 159. Next bar, say you're not convinced yet. You got a small delta, 1. Okay. It's coincidence that it's just 1. It could be 0. It could be 10. But it's small. Again, it's kind of back and forth. 112 minus 86 in the delta. Maybe you're not convinced yet. Look at this bar here. Minus 357. Now you should be convinced selling's coming in. You sort of saw some selling in here. It's hidden, though. It's hidden in the delta. You can't see it if you're just looking at the headline delta. You just see 159. Think, well, it's positive delta. Okay. But if you analyze the delta a little bit deeper, look at the max delta, the min delta, you'll notice it was a strong max delta early in the bar, 597, and it only ended up at 159. So it gave back, what is that, about 450 deltas. That came in late, an additional 450 net sellers. Okay, next bar, one of those bars, nothing special. But then this next bar, strong negative delta, 357. If you're not convinced yet, this is the delta surge giving you a sell signal here. Strong delta, 501. So you got to shift up here, right? You got to change from strong positive is starting to change to negative. It didn't get there. There wasn't enough volume here. Honestly, if there was another 200 lots hidden in here, buried in here on the bid, you would have ended up with negative delta at this high, and you would have had a divergence. But there wasn't. The bar ended up and was trading lower here, This bar is the sign saying, hey, idiot, don't miss this. It's sellers have taken over, right? And you can see how it just drops off here, very thin volume. It's just moving very fast here. It's just, boom, sellers came in, whacked it lower. And so you get a move. What happens? 47, this area, 47.76 is assuming, it takes you all the way to this bar here to pick this up. Okay, but if you pick it up here, what happens? If you're getting short in this bar, around the 77, 76 area, 75, what happens is it trades lower. It trades lower, boom, 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 lower down into the, the 40s. So from the 70s down to the 40s. Now, let's watch what's happening as you're getting down here near this low. Is there any signs to be buying? Okay, well, you sort of got one here. You got this bar, point of control towards the bottom. That's nice. You've got the delta is not positive. It's still negative. It's negative 122. It's minus 633 in the min delta. So it ate back some. It ate back about, I don't know, about 500. Okay, that's a good sign. That's a bit opposite of what you saw up here, at this high, right? You sort of saw the opposite. You saw the positive delta 600 ended up at 159. And then you get down here, right? You sort of have the opposite. Where was it here? It's 633 and minus 122. Again, that's bullish, right? What happens is it just goes sideways. And then you get a new low by a tick, one tick. Okay, people say, well, you made a new low. Yeah, you made a new low by one tick. Okay, say you get stopped out. Say you have your stop right here, right? Say you're buying this, you get stopped out here. Well, here at this next low, again, similar thing, point of control at the bottom. Min delta minus 700, 699 officially. And delta ends up at 126, positive. So it went from minus 700 to positive 126. That's like a swing of 800 contracts right there. Again, point of control towards the bottom. More importantly, what do you have on this low? 1248, 1515. You got some support down here. Okay, delta scalper comes in next bar. So say you bought this bar. You got stopped out because it made a new low by, quote, a tick, right? And your stop is right here. If you're using a very tight stop right below this low, you got stopped out. Okay, forget it. Put that one, put that trade behind you, move on. Analyze the market. Boom, you get another buy signal right here. Point of control towards the bottom. Supportive buying down here, 1200, 1500. Delta swing from minus 700 to positive 100. Very bullish signs. Delta scalper, next bar. You should be looking at these bars to be getting long. Again, so what's this area? It's from the 4750 area. What happens? You rally from 4750, all the way up into the 90s, 80s, 90s. And then you just go sideways. Eventually, you do go higher into new highs above 48 bucks. Okay, now you get up to this high, 48.21. What do you got? Anytime you get to the highs, you ask yourself, are we going to go higher? Are we going to sell off? Those are questions you should be posing to the market. Let the market tell you what it's going to do. Now, as you're going up into these highs, you got nice deltas, 1,000, 126, okay, but 500. And then you get up here on this high, positive 346, and ends up at negative 229. Okay, kind of mixed. But, I like the way that it's going. I like the direction it's moving. But what do you got? You got one balance, imbalance, two imbalance, three imbalances. You got multiple imbalances in that bar. Okay, that's a sign. You don't see buying imbalances anymore. You're starting to see selling imbalances. Next bar, stack selling imbalance. Again, so you got three imbalances here. Delta went from 229 to minus 316. That's a bearish sign. Another bearish sign, minus 563. It's a green bar. Okay, we'll see what the next bar is going to turn into. It's red. It's still a strong negative delta, minus 400. So at this point, you're up here. You're 4 bars into the high. And what do you got? You got all negative delta. 229, 316, 563, 447. And it's not just like 29, 31, 56, 47. It's 200, 300, 500, 400. Again, that's the market telling you, hey, we might peel off from this high here. We might move lower. And what happens? Boom. Look at this. All negative delta here. So you make this move from, 48.10. Where's your stop? Up here above 48.20. Assuming you're getting short in this bar somewhere. I mean, you probably realistically should be getting short somewhere in this bar. Let's say you're getting short in this bar, 48.12, 48.10. Your stop's up here, 48.22, 48.23, a 10-tick stop. Okay, so you're short at 48.10. What happens? Market sells off. Where does it sell off down? Back down into the 60 area. Now you're getting this bar where you have the delta, right, is 87. You think, well, it's negative. Okay, but look at it deeper. It went from 634 to minus 87. Okay, again, by now you should be picking this up, right? Saying, hey, you know what? There's a shift internally in this bar, and buyers came in. All right, we went from negative 634 net sellers to only minus 87. You have this candle, this little bit of a hammer shape here. Delta's getting a little bit weaker technically, but it's all still selling. It's all, you got zero max delta, zero max, zero max. It's all min, min, min. These are closing right on their mins. But this one is important. It's telling you the shift. It's telling you that, hey, we've had strong sellers. Now what happens? We're seeing aggressive buying. And then this next bar, bam, very strong buying coming in here. You've got the delta scalper coming in. And look at this delta. It's positive 1,000. That's a strong number for crude. And what happens is you sort of go up and start to go sideways before you finally get the move up here. You know, you got this bar that's basically all buying imbalances, and you know, the part that I don't want to say worried me, but the part that pissed me off a little bit about this move was it didn't build on it, right? You didn't get another green bar here, and you just went sideways in here. And then you're with this bar with the ratio point of control up near the top, the single print, some imbalances. Yeah, you got the delta surge right here, delta scalper in this bar here, and you know, you get this little bit of a move back down. Then you rally back up. Again, are there any signs in here? I mean, you can make this argument right here, this 4-bar structure, 485, 224, 38, negative 38, and then positive 223. This is nice. This is nice to see. And then nice another positive delta here. You know, that's a sign. You're seeing the selling weakening and buying come in like this, coming down. You know, getting weaker selling, buying taking over, still buying coming in, and then you put in a little bit of a rally up here. You get up here to this bar. This is 1023 here, and again, what do you got? You got some strong deltas here, 500, 700, and then here 223, negative 223. Again, it was positive 400, ended up at minus 200. Again, that's a shift of about 600, 700. And then say you're not convinced yet, boom, delta scalper coming in here, all negative delta, minus 1460. Min delta, where the bar closed, it closed at minus 1460, right on the min delta, so it closed right on its most negative delta. Then you get this bar here, sort of a nothing bar in terms of delta, minus 18. This bar here, strong negative delta, 500. And what happens? So say you're getting short somewhere, you know, in this bar, or even somewhere towards the beginning of this bar, we'll call it 47.88, somewhere in here. You know, you get this move lower down into, you know, the high 60s, but you know, mostly in the 70s, just sort of going sideways for the rest of the session. You know, going into the close. Late in the session, you got a little bit of a sell-off, but you know, after this move, that was basically about it for the rest of the day. There was not much else to really get too excited about. So, you know, that's how you can use delta in trading, right? That's, you know, the majority of what I talked about here was delta. I mean, I could do another presentation on imbalances on crude, maybe another time, but you know, by now you should be able to understand the differences between the deltas and why they're important in trading. Now, the other market I want to talk about really quick was S&Ps. If you remember, you know, like I said, you know, S&Ps, we had the big update. It was nice finally to get a big update for once, instead of a big down day. You know, if you're looking at the you know, at the daily charts, right? I mean, it's just you get all these days with these small ranges. Well, candlestick wise, it looks like a small range, but some of these, you know, you're still talking, you know, 60 up to 70, so 10 points, 10 points, 10 points. But you're mostly getting these, you know, big down days. You know, you get one big up day, then wham, you get slammed. So we'll see if we're going to get slammed today or tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday. This was a Thursday, the 17th. 10th was also a Thursday. So we'll see if, you know, we're going to give it back today or tomorrow. But again, you know, on a pure candlestick, you know, you got this hammer shape form right here. You know, Forex guys, oh, it's a pin bar, you know, and they'll talk about, they'll be posting it all up online. It's a pin bar. You got to be buying it right there. It's a no-brainer. But, you know, it is a bullish bar. I'll give it that much. It was nice to get this nice big up, you know, decent up day. I'll say big up day because, you know, our down days are a lot bigger than our up days, but it's nice to get that. But what were the signs in the order flow early? And there were signs. So let's just sort of walk it back here a little bit. 8:30 is the cash open. You know, just before the cash open, you got the delta scalper right on the cash open, signaling, you know, to buy. Then you get up here, you got delta scalper given a sell. This one doesn't work out; it fails. Now, at this time, what do you got here? You got divergence, divergence, divergence. So you've already got 3 divergences in 15 minutes. Another one. So you got 4. They failed. You're starting to get these divergences that are failing. And Why is that important? You know, if you're just selling every divergence, you're going to get your head handed to you on a day like today. But failed divergences are a sign of a market that's trending. You know, when you have a group of them early in the session, watch out. Watch out when you start hitting those highs again. You know, if there are divergences on the way up, if there are sells, if the market's going lower and you get divergences, look for it to sell. And, you know, so there were signs in here. It's at 930. You know, we're trading 24.33 and a quarter, 33 and a half. It's, you know, there's signs that, you know, there's a stronger undercurrent in the market. You know, we'd hit the high, sell off a little bit, buying pressure comes back in, make a new high, sell off a little bit, boom, come back up to the highs. You know what you want to be doing is look for these breakouts. You know, today was a day where it wasn't just, you know, like a one-way street. You'd hit the high and come off a little bit, hit the high and come off a little bit. But again, you know, the sign were there early that you're going to be going higher with these failed divergences. So, you know, there were signs to be buying it around the 43, 44 area, you know, excuse me, you know, and we end up rallying all the way up to, you know, the 50s, you know, eventually. I mean, when you're getting these signs, you know, ratio and divergence, and it just comes right back with a bullish ratio, that's not a good sign that this ratio and divergence is going to work out. You don't want to get the market come back with a bullish ratio. You don't want that, right? That's a very bad sign that it's not going to work out. And then even here, you're getting some signs. You got ratio and divergence, delta scalper, stacked imbalance. Everything you want up at a high to be getting short on, and what happens? It doesn't sell off. Again, that's a sign, right? Understanding that you have all these bearish signs and the market is fighting it is a sign that you're still going to go higher. There's still capacity left for this move higher. And, you know, boom, 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 we go all the way up, still keep going up, 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 you know, before eventually we get up here to 54 at the high of the day, just before the cash close. And then some selling comes in a little, you know, right ahead of the cash close, pop up right up on the close, close up on our high. In the evening session right now, we're a little bit lower. I'm not too surprised to see a little bit of selling in the session, but that was one of the signs, right? The failed divergences, you know, all this, the bearish signs early, and the market just powering right through them. Now another another sign, I'll have to scrunch this chart. Don't worry about the order flow. What you're looking at is this, the volume profile. Now another sign, early in the day, we had our point of control down here. I don't remember what this price was. We'll call it 34. And then as the day started developing, you started migrating higher, a new higher point of control up here around the 42, 43 area. So you're getting, you know, this was what, 9 something here. You're getting a new higher point of control. So you're already getting, you know, your point of control is migrating higher. A little bit later, you got a higher point of control up coming in here around the 46 area. So you got 3 higher point of controls already. That's what a sign. That's a sign of a market that's going to start, you know, that's rallying, right? You put in higher point of controls. So after you put in the new higher point of control, you got the second higher point of control. Does that make sense? So you got your first point of control, then you got a second point of control. Chances are, if you start trading higher, you're going to put in a higher point of control. If you start breaking out of that value area high of this area, you're going to put in another point of control up here at, you know, what is this? 24.51 and a quarter is your point of control for the day, you know. So right now we're just right, you know, in the next session. Again, you know, this is that line 51 and a quarter. The next session, you know, where are we? We're just a little bit lower, below your previous day point of control, but you're still around your day's point of control right now in the evening session. Okay, just really quick, I'll talk about the Aussie dollar. Again, Aussie dollar, I don't really talk about that much. I said, but it's one of those contracts, it's just a slow mover. Sometimes if you could position yourself right, it trends nicely. Now, you know, I like that you came down in here in the early morning European session, took out the lows. You got the selling imbalance below the lows. To me, that's a more of a bearish sign as a selling imbalance just above the lows. I like it below. But you get down here, you got the delta scalper giving a buy. This one doesn't work out. It fails on you pretty quick. And then, you know, we hit this low. Nothing in here really to get too excited about buying. But then up here, you got a couple of things, right? This red bar is the price rejector. You got a bearish ratio, you got negative delta, you got the delta scalper giving a sell, and you had a nice move back down to, close to the lows before closing, somewhere around the 79.09 area. So, it wasn't a monster move, it wasn't like a 100 tick move or anything like that, but it was a decent move to have caught there. I want to show you guys the Bunds. If I could just find that Bund chart. I screenshotted it, and I hope I didn't close the actual chart. I'd be quite pissed if I did, but I think I did close it. Shucks. It's just my eyes. My eyes deceive me. This was a beautiful trading opportunity this morning in the Bunds. Okay, so you open up here, Chicago time, 1 o'clock. Boom, you sell off right on the low. You got Delta Scalper giving a buy. What happens? Does it rally? No, kind of just goes sideways for a while. Then boom, you get down here at this low, 164.12. What do you got? You got a bullish ratio. You've got a divergence, single print. You got some buying imbalances coming in. Next bar, a couple more buying imbalances, but you should already be thinking of getting long in here around the 16, 17, 18 level. Definitely below 20. Even if you're late coming in here in this bar here around the 20 level, what happens? We rally. We rally all the way up, back up to our highs, back up into the 40s, and make new highs up here, all the way up to 46. But who cares? This was the move to be had this morning in the Bunds right here, from your low up to your high. Up here you got a ratio, but no divergence. Here you got, this, it's set up perfectly. That's how you want it. Those are the trades you want to be taken. Those, I said, if there's only one or two things you use in order flow, use the use the ratio and divergence. This really quick, this is Delta Scalper on the Dow. It's a 100 tick chart, very fast moving chart. I'm just curious to see how it looked. Yeah, it was okay. You got some nice trades in here, some decent moves, from 45 all the way up where you get the signals. It's this 60 tick move there. Some false signals not really working out here. Although this one you shouldn't be taking, because I like to let the market take me in. Look for a move. Just because you got the red bar, you should be looking to get in if we continue in the next bar, not just rally back up. But still, there were some decent moves here to be had. Some little bit moves. Again, it's a 100 tick chart, so this is when you're in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, short-term trading. Not something you're necessarily going to be holding unless you catch the trend early. Now the Jap Yen, just really quick on the Delta Scalper. Early morning, not much going on here, and then boom, you get a nice sell here around the 65 area. Again, it trades down into the 40s. Get this other grouping of sells right here. Sell, sell, sell. Everything's telling you to stay short in here. So you're short from up here. You do rally back up, again back, but you're getting signs up here to stay short, stay short, stay short. And what happens is you just sell off the rest of the morning or the rest of the afternoon. Right now we're in the Asian session. You got to buy right off the low, okay, and then you get another buy here. Say you get long here, it stops you out. Boom, it comes right back. From 30 all the way up to the 45 area where you got this sell right now. So there were some decent trading opportunities in the currencies actually yesterday. I think they were better than the S&Ps. It was yesterday in the S&Ps, it was, even though we did have a nice move higher, it was really a bit of a grind. It was kind of disappointing in that sense. Me, I like the moves fast. I like them big like this, straight down. I don't like it where it just sort of pokes higher, comes off, pokes higher, comes off, pokes higher, comes off. Lastly, I'll talk about 5 years really quick, just because it's kind of a boring session in the fives, and there was a sign early that it might be a boring session. This morning here at between 2 and 5, you put in this shitload of volume here at 118.16. You see this imbalance, 11,000. I like that we popped up, then we came right down through it really quick, like butter. You didn't have the buying there anymore. So again, I was curious to see what's going to happen when we come back up to the 16 level. So I drew that line, and what happens is you get there, you still got volume. This is now during the US session. And actually you put in more volume down here at 15.5. So I felt, if we're just going to hang around 16, excuse me, here we spent 3 hours trading in this one bar. I was afraid that if we start hanging around 16 again and the volume reappears, we're going to spend the rest of the day around there. And actually, from 8 until 11, basically we're trading between 15.5 and 16 right here before eventually selling off, staying below 15.5 and coming down into a new low. But again, this isn't any great trade. It was just something we were just sort of hanging around this area here, putting in a shitload of volume. 57,000 was your new point of control here at 15.5. You still had 47,000 up here at 16. You could just see all these point of controls basically lining up since 8:23 until what is that, 11:20. So for 3 hours we're just putting in all our point of controls, putting in our day's point of control in this area right here at 15.5. So it's a little bit lower, 2 ticks lower, but that was a sign to me that, hey, we could have a boring session in the fives. I was excited about this at 754, the ratio and divergence, ratio in the bar afterwards, but then again it just went dead on you. Flatline, basically 3 point of controls at the same level, one above, one below, which is essentially the same. So this trade didn't work out as well as you'd like, but again, say you're buying it in here at 15, maybe you're selling it at 16, so you're getting 4 ticks. Whoop-de-doo. But hey, it's better than a poke in the eye. So thanks for watching this video. To learn more about order flow, visit Orderflows, or go learn more about the Delta Scalper, go to deltascalper.com. So thanks, and have a good day, everyone. Bye bye.